Well, hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be building an Svelte chat application and we're going to be using Firebase for that. And we are going also to be using the Sveltefire package that's a tool that lets you handle Firebase in Svelte. So we have we will have a user sign in and sign up features, so we have track of every user, and I will first going to sign up. I will use a fake user for this, so it can be anything, and I can give it a password. And once I sign up, I log into the application, and here I can see the message from other persons, and here I can add new message. So I can add a new message, and here I'm going to sign in as a different user, as this user. So I believe so we have this user, and you can see that for this user is different. So we have the green as the message from the other person and the blue as your own message. So we can, how you are doing, how are you doing, and we should have this here. I am fine, thanks. And you can see that we have this in real time, and we can also sign out from the chat. So this is the application that we are going to be building today. Okay, so to get started, we're going to use the official template from Svelte.dev, and on top of that, we are going to add Firebase. So I can run this in my terminal, and the name is going to be Svelte Chat. Now let's set it into the project, and here I'm going to install all the dependencies. After everything is installed, we are going to add Firebase and Sveltefire in here, so we can add the Sveltefire package and also Firebase. So I can npm install Firebase and also Sveltefire. So once we install those packages, now let's open this in VS Code. And here we are going to remove all of the initial boilerplate from Svelte, and here we need to import Firebase from Firebase/app. So we import Firebase from there, and we also need to import Firebase/Firestore. That's one package that we're going to use, and we are going also to use Firebase/out. So now we need to initialize our application, and for doing that we need to create a project in Firebase. So go to the browser, and you will first need to sign up. So it will use your Google account that you probably have, and once you get it started, you're going to create a new project. And once you created the project, where you're going to be in this dashboard, and here you need to add your first app, and it's going to be for the web, and you have to give it a name. And we're not going to use Firebase hosting for now. So once you have that, you can copy this. That's all the configuration that you're going to need, and you can initiate the app like this. So we can just copy this and paste that in our application. Let's change this to a const, and I'm going to remove this comment. So once you have that, we also need a couple of more things to get started with Firebase. So we need to enable the authentication method that we're going to use is going to be email and password. So enable that. And after that, you also need to create a new database. So here we're going to start in test mode. So this will allow anyone to write to the database, but maybe you should change that to more secure rules. And here we are going to use this location. It's going to take a bit. So now we have everything that we need from Firebase. Let's go back to our project. And here we are going to add some styles from Bulma CSS. That is a CSS framework. And I'm going to go to the public folder and the index.html file. And here I'm going to replace this global CSS with the CDN from Bulma. So this is the CDN that we're going to use. Feel free to pause the video and grab this link. And we are ready to go. So now we need to start using the Sveltefire components. So we're going to import that from Sveltefire. In Sveltefire, we have a couple of components that we can use to handle our Firebase application. So the main one is called Firebase. It's called Firebase app. So we have Firebase app, and this is going to be the wrapper for all of applications. So we can add this here, and I'm going to make use of this component. So how this works is that if this library allows you to handle all your Firebase instance by having these components that have slots that you can add your application inside them, and you can also access the Firebase app directly from the context. But I think it's nice that we have this kind of API that we can interact. And what this takes as a parameter is we need to pass this Firebase instance. So we need to pass this like this, and here we are going to have all of our applications. So after that, we're going to make use of another component that we have here that's called user. So this user component has information, and it's going to have another set of features that we can use to interact with the user. And we also have some slots. So we have slots for successful operations or states that this user is going to have. So the initial slot that we are going to use is going to be the slot when the user signed out from the application. So if we don't have any user, we are going to display this. So these are like states that we have inside this component. And here we are going to expose the user and also the out of method object utility that we have from Firebase. So this component exposes this data that we can use inside here. So we want to use the auth method inside here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new folder that's going to be called components, and here we are going to have a new file called AuthForm. That's well. So this is going to be the initial form that we have to signing in or signing up to the application. So we have our component, and now I can use that component here. So I'm going to import the AuthForm from components/AuthForm, and I can start using that component here. And what I'm going to use inside this component, I'm going to use the auth method, because I want to use this to sign up or sign in the user into the application. So here I can pass this like this, and we can start working here. So I'm first going to add a new script tag that's going to receive this auth method that we declared here. So we are receiving that property, and here I can start declaring the markup. We will first add one tag that's going to have the title of our application, and let me add some CSS classes that we have with Bulma. I'm going to add the title class, and also I will make it blue with this class that says has text info, and also I'm going to center this with has text center. So this will be our h1 tag. Now I would like to add a h2 tag that's going to be the title of the current page. So we're not going to have routing, for that we're going to have a toggle to switch between sign in and sign up. So let me first add this here, and we can say let mode, and the default is going to be sign in. This is going to be the default mode, and we can say here we can say if the mode equals sign in, we are going to display here a string with the name of sign in. Otherwise we are going to say sign up, and let me give it another class here of, it's also going to be a title. So we have our two titles here. Now let's start with the form. So we need a form. Before moving on, I would like to see if this is being rendered to the screen. I already imported the component and I have it here, so we should be able to see something in the screen. If you go here, you can see that we have some scripts. So the script that I'm going to use is going to be the dev script that's going to build our server or the server side. So I'm going to npm run dev. It should take a little bit, and now we can visit our site in localhost 500. So if I go here, you can see that we have our two titles. So adding some other styles, I would like also to give this a class of container and also a class of section. So we have some spacing here, and this looks better. I will go back to the form, and now I can start adding the form. And for now, it's not going to have any action, so we can create a new field here with this class. And here I'm going to have a label that has a class of label, and it's going to say email. So we're going to take the email, and here I would also like to have an input that's going to have a class of input, and this is going to be required. So we can take a quick look, and there we have our input. So now we need to read these values. So for doing that, we can just use a variable that's going to be email. So the initial value will be an empty string, and then we can bind that value like this, and we can bind the value to that variable, the value of that, and there we have it. We have binded that, and that's for the email. Now we need another field for the password, so I'm just going to copy this, and here I can change this to password, and here I can change this to also the password, and class also will be input, but here I will need to change this to password, and I can bind the password here. And this also is going to be an empty string at the beginning. Now we're going to add an input that's going to submit the form. So we're also going to use a field class, and here I'm going to have an input of type submit, and with the class is going to have the class of, and this is another CSS class that's going to be a button that has the is full width class. So it takes all the width, and then we can add the value. So the value is what we're going to see, and it's going to say enter chat. So if we go back here, we should have everything that we need visually. And now we need to actually sign in and sign up the user. So for doing that, I'm going to add a event listener that's going to say on submit, and here we are going to have a function that's going to handle this. So we can say hand function, and this is going to be an async function. So we can say async function handle submit, and here we are going to say if the mode equals sign in. So if the mode is sign in, what we're going to do is we're going to await for, and this out is what we have is the same out object that we have from Firebase. So we have all the methods there available, and we have a method there that's called sign in with email and password. So this is going to sign in a user that already exists, and we need to pass the email and the password that we are keeping track here. So this is if the mode equals sign in, and otherwise it means that we're trying to sign up a user, so we can say await out, and here we have another method that's very similar, but this one is going to create a user with email and password, and here we can just pass the email and the password. So these are the two options that we have here, but after that we're going to set this as a empty array, and here we are also going to have a password. The password we are set that back to an empty array, so this goes to the default. So you could also handle could also handle this with a try catch error in case anything of this fails, but for now we're going to keep that simple. So we are declaring the method, but we need to use the method, and we can use it here. So we are just going to say on submit handle submit. So we are passing that function here, and here we need to add an event modifier. So this will affect the event, and the event modifier that, and this is from Svelte that Svelte has for us. We want to prevent the default. So the default of the submit action is this is going to try to refresh the page and execute an action, but we are going to prevent that, and instead of that we are going to execute this function. We could also have it here, but that's convenient that we have this kind of modifier. So we have our function, and now we only need a way to switch between modes, between sign in and sign up. So for doing that, I'm going to add some space here with an hr tag, and I can say, for example, I can use and logic block from as well, and I can say if the mode equals sign in, so it's the default mode, and we need to close this. So this is just like a regular if else, but we are using that in the template. So we can add a p tag that's going to say, do you do not have an account? So if the user does not have an account, we are going to ask them to sign in. So we can, I'm going to add a span class, a span tag, and I'm going to add the class of has text link, and here I can say sign up. So this is if the user does not have an account, and here I'm going to add a class of link, and I'm going to declare this class here, so I can say style, and the link class is going to have what I want is that the cursor to be a pointer, because by default this is not a pointer, and when the user clicks here, so we are going to add an on-click event listener. We are going to add some inline logic, and what we want to do here is we want to set the mode to, we are changing the value of the mode, and now it's going to be sign up. So that's what's going to happen if the user does not have an account. But if it does, we're also going to have a different text. And this is the case when we are in a different mode, in the sign up mode. I will just copy this here. And if we can ask here, do you already have an account? And in this case, this is not going to leave them to the signups. Instead, we're going to change the mode so to signed in. So that's how we can switch between the two modes. So we can see that we can switch between the two modes, and we are going to start with the sign up. But before moving on, I would like to add some logic here so that we are taking care if the user is not signing. And here I'm just going to greet the user, hello user, and I can use the user UID to see what's the ID of the user, and this is coming from here because this package provides to you the user object as a slot property, so we can read that from that component. Now if I go back here and I will try to sign up, I will use example mail. It doesn't matter for now, and here I can add the password and I should be able to enter. So we are right now and this is our user ID. We are now sign up to the application. So going back to the application, I need here, what I also need is I need a logout button, so I can just add that here. So I can say button with the class button, and here I can say sign out. I am also going to add a full width class here, so it takes all the space. We can check the button to see how's looking. So we have the button, but now we need to sign out the user. So what we can do here is just again add another event listener. So we are going to listen to the click event, and here I can just add a error function that's going to sign out. So we're using the out object, and here we can just invoke the sign out method from Firebase. And now this should work. Let's take a look. And here we can leave, and now we can test the sign in method. So I'm going to use the same mail that I use for signing in. I can pass the password, and there we have it. So that's working correctly. Now that we have that in place, I'm going to add a new component that's going to display all the chats for the user. So I'm going to create that component. It's going to be called chat status belt, and I will first import that here in our application. So I can just import chats from components / chats, and we don't need this, and I can add the chats component, and this component is going to take the user because we want to know what are the user what is the user that's trying to send this chat. So we are going to pass the user here, and here I can read that user like this. And let's start with the HTML. So for handling we are going to have a collection in Firebase that's going to be called chats, And for handling collections with the Sveltefire package, we can use another component. So I really like this package because you handle everything with components and with the slots. So that makes the things really simple. So we have this collection component, and I can just attach that here. And here we can use the collection component. And what we need to pass as parameters, we need the path of the collection. So it's going to be like this. It's going to be chat. The path is going to be chat, and as before, we received some props, some slot props that we received the ref. So this is the document ref that we can use to interact with that collection. So I'm going to give it a name of chats ref, and we also received the data, and this is going to have all the messages, and that's what we need for now. So this is really nice because this is going to be updated, because this will use the real-time database. This is going to be updated every time, and we could actually add a different and slot if something's failed. So we don't have to handle asynchronous code, because this will handle that for us. And we can also add a fallback, a slot fallback, but we're not going to do that. You can check the documentation. I will leave a link in the description if you want to have more reference about this package, but we're not going to use the fallback. What we need here is we first need to render all the chats, but what we're going to do first, we're going to add a new component that will be able to add new chats to here. So I'm going to create this component that's going to be called append message that is svelte. And this component will take care of adding new messages to the chat. So we are going to add a script tag, and we are going to export the chats ref. So we are going to require that property from the parent, and we are also going to use the user here. We can start by declaring the message. So this is what we are going to update every time the user types into the input box. And now we can start with another form. So this is going to be another form, and we don't need any action for now. And I will add a field here, and this is another CSS class from Bulma, and this field has add-ons, and it's also a box, so everything is boxed. We have those classes, and now I'm going to add another class that's going to be control, and is expand. So we have those classes, and here, so because I want the input box to take all the space, and here I'm going to add an input box that's going to be have the class of input, and we are going to bind here the value with our variable message. So we are binding the variable here. I'm also going to add a placeholder that's going to set type some message, and we have the input, and now we need a button. So I'm going to add a control class here, and here we are going to have an input with the type of summit, and it's going to have the class of button, and I'm going to give it a name, a color with the isInfo class. So now it's blue, and the value is going to be sent. So this is what we are going to show at the end of the input box. And here I'm going to import that component from, and this is in our current folder, and I'm just going to render to the screen to see if it looks correct. So I'm just going to copy this and see if it's showing as expected. So there we have it. We have that, and we need to fix some things here, because this should be in the same line. Let me check. So if I go here, this field has add-ons. This is not correct. This should be like this. Yeah, and now we have everything in one line. So this is how we are going to add the message to our database. And now we need to actually add that data. So we're going to have another method, as an async method, that's going to be called append message. And what this is going to do, this is going to, if we don't have a message, we are going to return, because we need a message to send to the database. And then we are going to await to chats ref. So this is the Firebase ref that we can interact with, and here I can add these values. So this is going to be we are going to use the add method, because this is going to create a new entry in our database. And here I'm going to have an object that has the message and also has a UID, so the ID of the user, and that's going to be user.uid from the property that we are having here. And I also want to have a date, because I want to sort those messages depending of the date. So I can say that date that now, and this is going to give me the current date. And after that, I'm going to clear the message input. So it is at the initial state. So let me check. We shouldn't be able to see anything for now, because we are just, but this should clear the input. Something happened here. Hi. Oh, I see what's the problem. So the problem is that we are not using that method anywhere. So we need to listen to the onSubmit method, and here, as before, we're going to pass the append message method, and we are also going to add the event modifier, the prevent default, and now this should work. And if we click here, this should be clear, but I think it didn't work. So it says cannot read property add of undefined. So let me go back and I think I am not passing this to the component. Yep, and I'm not passing anything here. So we need to pass that reference, and we also need to pass the user. So now this should work. And I'm going to make this like this, so it's like it looks like a phone. Hi. Yeah, and it got clear, so it means that now it is in the database. So that now that we have some data in the database, I'm going to display that data here, and we're going to do that by using an each block. So we are going to first add another class here that's going to say box. So we grab everything in a box, and we are going to have an each method here. Each, and for each message as message, we are going to display it's going to be a notification Bulma class, and here, so in Svelte we can deconstruct that object. So if you remember, we have an object that has a message, an UID, and a date. So we can deconstruct that here by doing this. So we have access directly to the message like this, and here I'm going to display that message. And if I go back here, yeah, you can see that now we have the message there. Hello. Okay, and now we have to do another thing. We have to we need to sort this message, this message in by the date. That's why we added that date. So I'm going to sort that with the sort method, and we receive the two elements of that array that we can subtract. So I'm going to say, because the date property from the message, it is a number, we can subtract that from the other one, and this should sort everything. So I also would like to add some styles, so some additional styles here. So I'm going to give it a custom class of chatbox, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a style tag, and what this chatbox class is going to have is going to have, I'm going to give it a flex of 1, and I'm also going to display this as flex. After that, I'm going to give it it's going to have a flex direction. I need to add this here, flex direction of column, because the default is row and we want to show one to another, and I would like to hide the overflow. So these are some initial styles that I can apply here. I added those styles because I also want to add an style here. So I am in the app.svel component, and here I am also going to have some styles, and for the app class I'm going to have a min height of 100 ph. So this is going to give it all, depending of the viewport, all the height that viewport has, And here I'm also going to display this as flex, and this is also going to have flex direction of column, and the max height that we are going to have here is of 100 bh. So now if we go back here, we should have, so this is what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to fill everything in the same in the screen and if we type more message, we should have a scroll bar here that we don't have. Let's check what we are missing. If we go to the chats, yeah, so this is wrong. So what we want here is we want overflow in the y-axis. It's going to be out. This is what we want, and now this should work. Yep. And so that's what we wanted. We wanted to have this scroll bar here, and we have some problem here. Is that if we add a message, is we want to scroll down to the last message. So if we open this, you can see that's not going to the last message by default. So we can do that pretty easy with the Svelte. And what we are going to do is we are going to declare a variable that's going to contain a reference to the HTML element. And what we are going to reference is the chat box. So for creating that reference, we can use the bind this directory, and what we are going to bind is the chats element, so the HTML element. We have that, and we are going to add a listener here. So when we have some listeners in this component by the Sveltefire library, and the listener that we are going to list is on data. So every time we have data, we are going to run a function. So the function is going to be called scroll to the end. And every time we have some new data, we are going to invoke that function. And what we are going to do here is we are going to use the chats element, and this element has a property because it's an HTML element that's called scroll to. So this is the method that we have there, and it's going to start from 0 to the chats element that scroll height. So this is another property that this element has. So it's going to go. It is going to go to the end. But there is an issue here, is that because this will be rendered after this, so we want this will not be created. So if we go back here, you can see that this is not already, it is undefined. So this is because when this gets triggered, this happens first, and this bind happens after that. So for fixing, we can use a property from Svelte, a tool for Svelte called tick. So this is going to be from Svelte, and what we are going to transform this to an async function, and here we are going to await for that tick. So we are awaiting for the loop, for the JavaScript loop to finish rendering this, and then we will have, this will no longer be undefined. So if we go back, you can see that we were transported to the end. If we go up, we can type another message that says this should go to the end, and you can see that it went to the end. So for finishing things, we are going to open a new browser that does not have this account logged in, and we are going to create a new user. So it can be anything, and we can give it whatever password. And you can see that we have all the messages, and we can add a new one. And we have it here. We can see that it's updated in real time, but there's no difference between both messages. So we want to add some styling to differentiate with which message is from which user. So let's go back to the code, and we are going to have two classes for that. One class that's going to be is sender, and this class is going to be aligned to the right, and it's going to have a margin left of 100 pixels, and we're going to have another similar class. Then this is going to be is receiver, and this one is going to align to the left, and here we are going to have margin right, so it is the opposite of the other class. And we have those classes in place, but here we need to check. We are going to add some dynamic JavaScript here in the class property of this notification, and we are going to say if, and we can deconstruct the UID here. So we are going to deconstruct the UID from the message, and we can say if the UID equals the user. So we were using the user here of user that UID. If it's the same, we are going to use the CSS class of isInfo, and also the one that we created that says it's isSender. And otherwise, we're going to have the class of isSuccess. So it's going to give it a green color, and also the isReceiver class. So we're going to check if the user is the one that's logged in, and now we have that. So you can see that we have different colors, and the colors of our own message are blue, and the ones from the other person are green. So for example, hi there, and you can see that's green. And if we send how are you, and now it's blue, and it is at the right, and but here is on the left. So that's the whole app. I hope you find this tutorial useful, and please like and subscribe to see more content. Thank you guys.